relationship, because I think there's a heightened level of, you know, diagnosis to where now everybody's got ADHD. That's a little weird, right? But for me, oh, you finally got the sneeze out. I see you. Oh, he's charging. One more. There we go. If he gets to 4, you're really Asian. But the with me and for you.
Yeah.
If there was, how many Amanda Nunez's do you think it would take to beat up one Jorge Masvidal?
We're gonna answer this because I know where you're going with this, but you're starting jiu-jitsu, right?
Yes, jiu-jitsu, boxing, all kinds of different mixed martial arts.
Combat sports are literally the greatest form of discipline. If I had to attribute my success to anything, it would be the fact that my mother put me in combat sports. That literally shaped my entire view of the world.
No greater daycare.
When you're not afraid of someone punching you, or when you train for someone to punch you, life's actual hurdles are not really hurdles. So, one, that's a great decision. What made you want to do that?
Oh, because when last year when I went out to Atlanta, and one of my buddies, shout out to MTR, he invited me over to a gym. He was like, yo, let's go work out or whatever. I'm like, shit, I ain't work out today yet. Let me go to the gym, because I had just recently landed from the flight. So it's either work out at the hotel or go to a gym. I'm like, I'd rather go to a gym. Hotel gyms are shit. So why not go pull up? Pulled up. It's a boxing gym. I said, oh, that's interesting. So although they have the weights and everything that's there, I saw him, and there was a boxing ring. People were getting ready to spar. I had never sparred in my life. At the time, I hadn't fought anybody in 15 years. Well, granted, sparring's not necessarily fighting per se, to a certain degree, depending on how you're doing it. But I said, oh, this is awesome. Let me go give that a shot. Throw on some gloves, because I'm just one of those fuck it, let's do it kind of individuals. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is nice, but I don't understand the structure of it. If it's a street fight, we're just swinging for like the faces, trying to hit the body, but it's not timed, and it's not a chess match in the midst of physical combat. So I'm like, you know, I always wanted to do that. Funny enough, my father, when he was sick a few years ago, he revealed that he did karate when he was in Haiti. Okay. Never knew this.
Haitian karate.
Right. He did Haitian karate.
Haitian voodoo karate.
So, of course, there's a voodoo element where you win before the fight even begins. But I was like, you know what?
You curse them, and then when you get there, they show up sick or something.
It activates, right? So I always wanted to do some form of martial arts. So, you know what? Let me get an opportunity to do it. And funny enough, the new location that I'm staying in now, the MMA, or I shouldn't say MMA, the mixed martial arts location is right there, 2-minute walk away. So I'll be taking boxing, jiu-jitsu, all of the different things that they have going on. I'm doing it.
So funny enough, if you look at the most potent martial arts, you want to become the best fighter in the world, you learn how to box and you learn how to wrestle.
Yep, wrestling and boxing.
Those are the two things that you need to know how to do. But boxing and jiu-jitsu, I mean, it's essentially kind of like similar to boxing and wrestling. Those are the two martial arts you learn. You want to be a badass motherfucker. You know, like I have my weak points are wrestling and jiu-jitsu. If I get taken down, I'm dead. But I'm real nice on my feet, man. Agile, I'm quick. I'm smart and calculated. But yeah, boxing and wrestling, it's cool. So jiu-jitsu, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We should train, actually. There's a gym, boxer here in Miami.
Oh, nice.
We need to go. The next time you're here, how long are you here for?
Tonight.
Then, so next time you're here, hit me up whenever you land. We'll go to the gym. We can train all that stuff. I love it. It's honestly one of my like few things that I genuinely enjoy. My wife always says like, oh, why are you always tired? And it's not that I'm tired. It's just like I'm burned out. But I could sit and box for 5 hours straight. I go to the gym. I love it. I'll train until like I can't move anymore, until my body's broken.
Because I think it's a constant challenge. No matter what level you get to, it's always going to have a challenge. I think if anybody who's ever watched like Floyd Mayweather train, although it seems very redundant, like he's doing the same shit, it's not. Because you could never get to the point to where the work is finished. There's always something to work on. And the discipline that exists within training that, because even if you were to become like a black belt in karate or whatever, the work doesn't stop.
Yeah.
You still have to refine what it is that you have. Nobody's perfect in what it is that they do.
So you've seen my black belt. It's like ancient. It's like a decade old. It's tattered. It's like one of those like Master Splinter black belts. It's interesting because I'll go to the gym and I'll spar a bunch of different people. And I'll run in every once in a while. I'll run into some guy. He's like a professional MMA fighter, like 4 or 5 fights. He's been doing it. He's been doing it less long as me. He's been doing it for like 3-4 years. But he has like 3 to 5 professional fights, and the dudes are fucking good. So it's interesting because you never really level. You never really hit the pinnacle.
Right.
Regardless of who you are. You know, Floyd is probably the closest thing in combat sports to perfect.
Right. 100%.
Floyd, Gordon Ryan. If we're going to talk jiu-jitsu, boxing is Floyd. So yeah, it's weird because you start to understand how all the moving pieces work.
Yeah.
You start to understand like, hey, this punch comes after this punch, and you understand why the body mechanics of why it happens. You can understand how to generate power because the average person will throw a punch like this.
Yep.
They wouldn't hurt someone. Me, a little guy, I'm 170 pounds. I could generate more power on a punch than a lot of like guys that are 200 that don't know how to fight. So once you start to understand like the moving pieces and the intricacies of like combat, you're like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
This is literally like chess. He steps here, I step here. He steps there, I step here. He throws, I throw.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get into it. Because who the hell gets punched
fun,
in the face and like, yo, this is awesome. Like at one point I was sitting there like, am I a masochist? What's happening right now? Am I enjoy this? But it was just the challenge of trying to respond to what it is that you're doing. Because I can't stay on the offensive the entire time. I'm going to punch myself out. So now I'm just thinking to myself like, okay, cool. But if I was in a fight with somebody who fights, it's over.
Right.
If I'm in a fight with somebody who doesn't fight, well, now it's a puncher's chance for who the hell's going to come out on top. Right. So I'm like, you know what? This is something to where you find that level of discipline, and I need this because I'm no longer it's been a decade since I ran my last route playing football. So you need something physical to train and something to work towards, because I love the belt system of you start from the white belt and then you have to work your way up. What is it next? Blue?
It's different with every system.
It's different with every, okay, all right, got you. Yeah,
I
blue.
have a black belt in Shotokan karate.
Right.
So ours was interesting. It was like white, yellow, orange, blue, green, brown, red, black.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, but jiu-jitsu, if I'm not mistaken, it's white, blue, purple, brown, black. I think they have 5. And I could be wrong, but yeah, I think that's the jiu-jitsu system.
Also, depending on your age, if you're under 17 or something, it changes. There's like a green belt in or something.
Right, I figured, because I remember, I think it was Yoel Romero. He had gotten his black belt because now he's in his 40s, I believe.
Dude's a freak. That dude's a freak.
And that dude got, like, I think it was him who got the black belt, or maybe it was Israel Adesanya who had gotten a black belt in one of their, martial arts.
It had to be Yoel.
Late, like they just, within the last 3-some years.
I was probably
and
Yoel.
The emotional aspect of being able to get to that level and watching the reaction, I've always wanted that. Since I was a kid.
Connor just got his.
Always wanted to, you work your way towards something and you're always striving.
It takes a decade, bro.
Yeah, it takes time.
So it just depends, because there's lots of martial arts schools that are fake.
Right.
Like these fake ones that like just give them away like candy.
Yeah.
But like a school where you fight, like for me, it took me, I think 7 years to get mine, but I was going I was going every day for 5 hours a day after school.
So you had an accelerated sort of thing first. Right.
But it took me like 6-7 years. And it's different getting a black belt as a kid, because I got my black belt in Taekwondo when I was 17, or like when I was 17, you're kind of an adult. But when I was 12, I'm like, you're not a black belt.
Right.
So you are, sure, but I think a black belt to me is if you can fuck somebody up. I hate the term black belt because people, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. You bought it from a fucking YMCA when you were 11 years old. It's almost like disgraceful to a black belt.
Yeah.
Like and there's different values on black belts. I have a Shotokan karate black belt, traditional Shotokan martial arts. There was a lot of sparring involved. I know all the traditional Japanese weapons. It took me about 6 years. I would still undervalue that than a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Okay.
It's more valuable than that, than the black belt I have,
Right.
And then there's like the Taekwondo black belts, and they have like a system, but you can get them like 2-3 years. I would value mine more than that Taekwondo black belt.
Right.
Or there's people that are like, there's people that get black belts, and jiu-jitsu is probably the hardest one, because people spend their entire life trying to get it.
Dude, it seems so, maybe I don't want to say I'm wired different, but that just seems so
I'm a first degree black belt. There's like second degree, third degree, fourth degree black belts.
Right.
And depending on like the promotion system, it's
because since there's so many different degrees of difficulty while you're ascending, and there's so many different martial arts, it's like you're trying to collect the infinity stones per se. It's like, all right, cool, I got this in jiu-jitsu. Let me see if I can get a black belt in karate. I've got this in karate. Let me see if I can get it in taekwondo. I've got this. Let me try to get it in this. So it just seemed like you're always challenging, and I love the idea of saying, all right, cool, this black belt here is this level, but this person over here is at that level. If I can't beat this person, I still got something to chase after. So even I've seen people training into their 60s, into their 70s, just going for it. And it keeps you active, it keeps you working towards something, and it keeps you disciplined. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I had been missing for a decade. Because although with work and building, there's that, but it gets to a point where you can almost plateau because you're like, all right, this is okay, so I need something else. And I think they all pour into each other. Yeah,
100%. It's weird because American martial arts, like wrestling, they don't have a belt system. I think that's a great way to like see where you're at. As long as it's standard. I think what happens with a lot of these is they just hand them out because you could buy black belts and stuff. Ultimately, the way I look at it is, can you fuck somebody up? That's the ultimate test of your black belt. You know, because a lot of UFC fighters, believe it or not.
Well, fuck somebody up within the same, I think within the same sort of craft that you're in. Because if you're somebody who is, do they have belts in boxing outside? Like if you were to elevate, because with wrestling,
but they have like you can get like golden gloves. Which
golden glove things of that nature. Right. Because with boxing, well, not boxing, but with wrestling, I think the peak in wrestling is Olympic. Right? You get to the Olympic, you win the Olympics, then it's over. Because NCAA, once you pass it, there's no professional wrestling is different. Olympics, that's performative art. You get to the point where it's just Olympic trials, you get into the Olympics, and then it's over.
Well, no, it would be Olympic, and then I guess like real combat, like UFC or something.
Well, yeah, that's a different level. But then it's at that point now, everything is all over the place. So if you go into like mixed martial arts, although you're able to ascend in there, it's not like you can be a wrestler, but then you take on, it's everything that's all encompassing. So if there was a spot to where, and I think that's what makes it so interesting, because if you're somebody who like you train Taekwondo your entire life, if now I want to become the greatest Taekwondo person, well, I got to go to the UFC, beat the shit out of a bunch of different people, or maybe go and mixed martial arts. So if you're a wrestler, that's what you have to do. So if like Ben Askren, who's probably, I think he's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame or whatever. This dude was a problem in wrestling, but then you go and you gotta, let me go try to box. You get Jake Paul. So you almost have to be in a spot where you can become the greatest at your craft. And I think I love that about mixed martial arts, because there'll always be a new challenge. You'll always be able to work within, that.
Yeah, and it's crazy how you realize there's levels and dimensions to all of it. Mixed martial arts, you got to give them their props, because it takes an incredible amount of like brain power and discipline to get good at all of them.
Right, 100%.
Because
100%.
Like a great example, one of the guys that works for me, he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, or is he a blue belt? I'm not sure, whichever one's like in the middle. Bro, we roll, we grapple sometimes. He fucking kills me every single time. There's nothing I can do. I'm helpless. I'm literally like a dead stuffed animal. Like he fucking kills me. We box. Minute and a half. If I wanted to, in a minute and a half, I would kill him. So it's crazy how far the levels are when you do these disciplines. But I know you said there's something about, I saw the interview.
I saw it was trending because Jorge Masvidal did an interview. I forget who he did the interview with, but they had asked how many women it would take to defeat him. And he said, well, Amanda Nunes is, the greatest of all time amongst women. No disrespect, but an infinite amount he would be able to.
Infinite is fucking crazy.
Right.
Infinite is crazy. If he had unlimited stamina, I could see infinite.
Yeah, unlimited stamina. Yeah. I think
but
you'd
infinite,
be able to go.
Obviously, he's gonna get tired at some point.
Right.
But I agree with him.
Yeah.
I agree with him. Like, there's levels to combat that, like Amanda Nunes. I'll say it, she'll kill me.
Yeah, she's the GOAT, yeah.
She'll kill me. She's the GOAT for women's sports.
She's the GOAT.
Combat sports. She'll kill me, no doubt. Against a real MMA fighter, especially like Jorge Masvidal.
Right.
Who walks around 200 pounds. Amanda Nunes probably walks around 160. She's like the heavyweight champ for women.
Right.
That's like the biggest they get. I think 150 or something. 145, 155, 145. I'm not sure, but Jorge Masvidal walks around 200 pounds. and Amanda Nunes has said this. I think Jorge Masvidal said it. Like because they train in the same place. She says, no, I'm not, like, it's not fair if I go against a dude. You know,
Right.
so a dude like Jorge Masvidal, it would be infinite. Like, it would be infinite is crazy, but like, if he had stamina.
Unlimited stamina. But it all depends, because I think if you were to clone Amanda Nunes, you make 4 Amanda Nuneses, and they were to rush Masvidal, because it's not going to be like a movie scene kind of situation where they go one by one. Because the only reason why I think, but then you have to consider the context here. You have the greatest.
Let me put it to you like this. 4 of you.
Right.
4 of you rush
Right.
Marshawn Lynch. What happens?
Oh, I'm going to lose.
He runs through you, right?
Right, because we're talking about this is a professional versus the average.
Okay,
slightly, well, not even slightly above that. I didn't make. So if you just take like 4 of the average NFL player against some of the greatest of all time, there's no way.
Let's say 4 Tyreek Hills rush Marshawn Lynch.
Well, that's a little different because they're both offensive play. It depends.
Well,
like,
no,
but because what are they doing?
Is rush 1 Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, because it's
No,
4
but I'm trying to give him a comparison, because here's the thing, right? You have to look like Marshawn Lynch is a big motherfucker.
Right.
You take someone that is 25% smaller than him, and he's rushing through you, he's gonna make it through.
Right.
So in the same way, like 4 Amanda Nunes are not gonna stop a Jorge Masvidal. It's literally he's right when he says infinite. Especially if he can throw punches, he can punch her. It doesn't matter if she fucking blocks it. It doesn't matter where he hits her.
You'll punch through the guard.
You hit someone that hard without enough force, it's like hitting someone with a baseball bat.
But then the only caveat would be, now if you have where he's surrounded, right? They all rush him. The only reason why I say, okay, it depends, because this is 4 of the greatest of all time, where if I now grab said legs and you can't move, although you can go and punch your way out.
Jorge Masvidal was preventing takedowns from Colby Covington, NCAA Division I wrestler.
He was, right? And he still can. Absolutely. It's not like this man's completely washed, right?
Someone his weight class. You think someone that's way smaller than him is going to take him down?
Yeah, but that's all one-on-one. My only thing, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, because I do believe that he would be able to beat 4, right? But then it all depends on how it's structured. If it's a gauntlet style, I think he's running through everybody.
Oh, no, even if it's...
Right? If it's 4 inside of the ring, it all depends on how they were to game plan in the rush, because if I think he'll definitely lay one out straight off the gate, right?
He'll lay
but
off
then if you now, all right, I'm going to try to dodge, because when you're fighting somebody one-on-one, it's me and you. If it's a gangland kind of style situation, I think it's a little different.
Great example. They used to make us, I don't know if they still do this, because this is probably child abuse, but like when I was getting my black belt, I got it like I was 17, 18. They used to make us fight the brown belts. So if you're a black belt, you're fighting the brown belts.
Oh, that's not child abuse.
And you're gonna fight three or four of the brown belts
Gauntlet
as a black
style?
belt. No. They just throw them in there because they want to teach you. This is again back in the day. Maybe the karate I learned is different from the softer stuff now. But
yeah,
they were like, listen, you're in the streets. The 4 dudes jump on you. Like,
right,
what the fuck you gonna do?
100%.
So they used to teach us. They used to have 3 or 4 people say, okay, 4 of you guys go, and then you're the black belt, so you fight 4 of the brown belts.
Right.
And what they would teach you is you can't get surrounded.
100%.
So you get all of them in front of you.
Yeah.
And there's a way, and when you understand angles and you understand how to fight, especially in a situation like that, if you knock one person out, you have instantly, and you turn around, now there's three in front of you.
Yeah.
So now there's no longer 4, there's no longer
because you have to
you.
prevent the other, but in a street fight, because it's one of those things where if you fight 1 versus 4 average individuals versus 4 people who fight, it's a different
Jorge
dynamic.
Masvidal's because more often than not, believe it or not, the black belts would win against 3 or 4 brown belts.
Right, 100%.
Very rarely do the brown belts beat the black belts, but that's because the black belts understand, like, okay, I gotta, because this is my strategy. I would assess before we even started, because they're on one side, I'm on one side. I'm like, that dude's the smallest one. I'm gonna just crack him.
That's a logical thing to do, right?
I'm gonna throw a front kick right to his body. He's gonna fall down. He's gonna cry. And now they're all in front of me, and they see one dude on the floor, like, oh fuck.
Yep, it's like that. It's like the scene in Reacher, where in Jack Reacher, where it's like, all right, you fight against 5 guys, you lay one person out, you then of the group, one person is gonna run, another person is gonna second guess what it is that's going on, and then they'll be the last one to get their ass kicked, and then the other 2 who decide to go and rush after somebody done got their ass whipped, they're gonna get their ass whipped too.
This is fun in theory, right? Fighting is fun in theory. But I can promise you, your four
violent.
Amanda Nunes we'll wait for the plane to fly over because that's really annoying. We got to figure a way to stop that. We'll soundproof the roof.
It's like
or
a
something.
flyover. You have your own like salute flyover.
It's like, yeah. In theory, it's like, oh, cute. 4 Amanda Nunes going against Jorge Masvidal. Fear exists in the humans, no matter who you are. Amanda Nunes, if she was fearless, she'd be charging every opponent. She doesn't do that. She's very calculated. She picks her spots. You watch Amanda Nunes, she's not charging into like, she fought Juliana Pena. She lost one before she won the rematch. But
Yeah, because she had like an 8-year
Juliana Pena
undefeated
was
streak.
piecing her up.
Right.
If Juliana Pena could piece you up, Jorge Masvidal would kill you.
In a one-on-one, but if it's for Amanda Nunes, because I'm right there with you, depending on the context of everything.
Four people charging into gunfire. We have to charge into gunfire. One of us is going to make it and conquer the bunker. 3 of us are going to die. How many people do you know charge into gunfire like that?
Nobody's going to charge into it.
So when you look at 4 Amanda Nunes, 1 Jorge Masvidal, I think.
Because if he's surrounded and then they just, because my only thing with,
if I had to pick a number, I'm saying 12.
You think 12? Okay, because
12.
he'd tire himself out.
Not even tire himself out. They could like pile on.
Because that's the only context of where it works.
That's critical mass where they pile on him, and it's like 12 Amanda Nunes, like 1,500 pounds. He's a big guy, but he's not getting out of that. He's losing that.
Yeah. Because my whole thing is just how it would go down. Because a lot of times I saw a bunch of different comments and then messages about, oh well, when it would if it was just 1-on-1, then maybe she'd have a fighter's chance. No, there's no way. Well, you would have to duplicate, and you have to also
Amanda
take into
Nunes is the
account
GOAT.
she's the greatest of all time, and it would take multitudes clones of her
I think there is
in
a
order
number.
to go and get the W. Because it's a different dynamic between men and women.
If it's one in a row, I think he gets to probably like maybe 300, 400, 500 before he gets tired. If it's just one at a time. If one at a time, it's 300, 400, 500.
And if it's unlimited stamina, then he'll never lose.
And it'll be infinite,
he'll never lose.
But he's Jorge Masvidal as he sits. It's 300, 400, 500. If it's 1-on-1 in a row. Now, if it's always just attacking him at the same time, 4 is not the right number. I would say maybe 12, maybe a little less than 12, maybe 10 or 11.
You still think it would be double digits?
10 or 11.
He's surrounded by
10 or
10 Amanda Nunes. It would take 10.
He would catch probably 3, 4, 5 of them before they eventually just wrestle him to the ground. And
I think if it's 5, I think 4, maybe he could get 4. I think if it's 5 would give him. I think he would still be able to win to a certain degree, but then it'll be a little difficult. It'll be a little difficult because now if he's surrounded and he got to go and eliminate one, all it takes is just just dive on his legs, and then now you're in a situation where you've got no use of your legs. It's very difficult to go and slow him down.
Middle school football players, top ones in the nation, what would it take to take you down, to tackle you?
To tackle me, middle school?
You have all the best 7th, 8th graders on the planet.
On the planet. And me
rated.
Now?
You in your prime.
Me in my prime?
College football, how many would it take for them to tackle you?
Probably 3. I think it'd take 3 to go and get. Because if we talk about like the best of their, like I'll be able to run through a couple that's it. But the issue is if it's just me having to lower the show, take somebody down.
You give them a concussion, you run through, no ethical concussion.
No, I'm not concerned about that. Like, hey, I'll send them to the hospital. That ain't no problem. But then the thing is, if they all jump at the same time, all it takes is one holding one of your legs. It's like, all right, I'm going to get my leg off. If the other grabs the other leg, I can't double jump out.
So great example. I seen Marshawn Lynch go through fucking 8 NFL guys.
Right. But it's not because he's been able to run through, like you'll run through it like a barricade of like 2. You also have the benefit of teammates also blocking for you. Yeah. But if you're able to now throw them off as you're going,
I'm trying to find okay, here's a better example. I'm trying to find an analogy that'll make sense. You know chess grandmasters?
Yes.
Magnus Carlsen, he can play 12 chess games in a row. Mm-hmm. Memorize blind. So they'll put him in another room and he'll play against 12 people just calling out E5, knight E6 and beat 12 people.
Right.
That would be the equivalent of Jorge Masvidal fighting Amanda Nunes. Because at some point, Magnus Carlsen can't play 100 games remembering all of them. He'll lose at some point.
Yeah.
It's just the number of people. I think he could play 4 or 5 games, but then 7, 8, like he'll start losing. So I think the number's probably 10 or 11.
Because it all comes down to context for me.
If it's in a row, I think it's 300, 400.
If it's in a row, I think he's gonna win like no problem. But then the only thing is just with the midst of being surrounded by somebody who also fights, it's a completely different dynamic. Because that's the only thing for me.
10 or 11.
I always envision like, okay, if you're about to get jumped, because if it's an average person, you'll be able to watch the floor.
Maybe this one makes sense.
But if it's someone who fights,
it's a little different. I hate using these examples, but like you not knowing anything,
right?
Your girlfriend not knowing anything. How many of your girlfriends would you think it would take to beat you in a fight?
Oh boy,
10 or 11.
Yeah.
So that's the perfect example. It's like 10 or 11. If you're gonna go equal skill for skill, right? Because like just straight martial arts, we could argue that Amanda Nunes better than Jorge Masvidal. Skill for skill, but at that level, with the strength advantage he has and the size advantage and the explosiveness advantage he has, bro,
he would win that one. Because there's a different dynamic between with the men and the women. Like if you look at across sports with like the Serena Williams situation in tennis,
she lost to the 200th, like he was like 203rd guy. She lost.
And she said she said herself she would not be able to.
Ass kicked.
And what's crazy is you have people who don't necessarily know the sport and they would argue. I think there was a man. I think he was European for sure, and he was #1 at one point. And they were making the argument, and he stood on his square like, no, I would wipe the floor with this person. Oh no, you're a sex. I'm like, wait a minute, sir. Wait, are we like listening to what's being said? This is the #1 men's player in the world. It's not sexist to say that he would be able to beat
this has been
the #1 women.
Argument since the beginning of time.
Right. It's
every single time it's like played out in the very rare instances it played out, men have wiped the floor with the women.
Right.
And it's not a bad thing. It's just like that's just what men are good at fucking sports.
Right.
That's the one thing they're good at.
And there's a physical dynamic too.
Here's your crazy one. The fucking boys soccer team.
Yeah, the under 15. Yeah.
Under 15 played the women's national team, the one that won the fucking gold medal. Supposed to be the greatest team ever. Didn't they beat them like 7-0 or 4-0?
No, 5-2.
5-2.
But they're under 15.
Under 15.
Under 15.
Right.
Beat the women's national team. But that's the nature. Okay, another one. There was a boxer. I think
Clarissa
Shields.
Yeah, Clarissa Shields.
Clarissa Shields has never been dropped. She's a dog. She's arguably one of the best women boxers, pound for pound. Gets dropped by some dude, and he's not even like a crazy ring guy. Like this guy would fight like a I don't know, average boxer, get mopped. Drop Clarissa Shields, who's never been dropped before. So you're gonna look at all of these examples, right? And there's no way you could just be like, yo, there's another one. Everyone, Brittany Griner.
Yeah, with
DeMarcus Cousins. And they're asking players, they're like, who you got? Everyone's like, DeMarcus Cousins.
Right. Even her college coach is like, I put the house.
Like, if they were going to play and there were no referees.
You're getting bullied.
I would take everything I have. I would sell my house. I would take everything and put it on DeMarcus Cousins.
Right, 100%.
It's silly to say otherwise, bro, because come on now.
That's because you would have to legit, and this is why the conversation.
What I hate though is because people will be like, well, Amanda Nunes would kick your ass. I'm like, well, I'm sure she would.
But if you were to fight somebody who fights, that's where the dynamic is completely changed. Like even in track, you take the fastest woman in track, you look at her fastest time. You got high schoolers who are running that. Yeah. It's and the biggest issue that I have with it is like you can't insult our intelligence. Because anybody with a brain would look at it and be like, all right, cool. You could be the best woman. And there's no issue with being the best woman in this physical, sport. Don't make it seem like because you're at this level now, you're better than this person here who's the best at the male level. It's the WNBA versus the NBA. You take a look at like a dunk contest. I'll never forget where Candace Parker won in 2004 against J.R. Smith. You look at the missed dunks that J.R. Smith had. They were better than the made dunks that she had. So when you say, oh, she wins the dunk contest, it's like, great, she won, but anybody who's watching, come on.
They talk about this pay gap in women's sports all the time, right? And it's like, one, it's unfortunate. I'm not gonna be like, oh, it sucks, but like it's unfortunate. But at the same time, it's like it's less fun to watch. I'm trying to see LeBron dunk from the free throw line.
Yep. And how many butts are in the seats to where, like, even when you look at like marketability, because before we even taped, I was talking about how I think in women's sports the biggest issue that exists there is they don't market it the right way. Because you market it in a way to where it's like, all right, we'll just compare you to the dudes. It'll never work that way.
Even women's combat sports. I look at women's combat sports and I'm kind of like, some are real good fights. I'm like, oh, this is a great fight. but you don't have that visceral, explosive, like knockout that you see with men. Everyone loves that fucking boom, and it shatters their jaw. They fall. It looks like they fucking die.
Right.
People watch fights for that. When women fight, like there are knockouts, but it's usually like a stoppage, like the girl fall. It's never like sweet.
It's not as vicious. Like I think Nunes to a certain degree when because she was beating people, like whether it had unanimous decision, but she was also beating the shit out of people. Because when Ronda Rousey was coming up early 2010s, she had the marketability. It was like, yo, this box office. I want to see her go.
Yeah.
I think there's a different level of viciousness when you watch it, and it's a blood sport.
Yeah.
Right. It's like Coliseum. With other sports, like with swimming, with tennis, with basketball, there's a certain level of the way that you should want to market it, which I think with WNBA, if you lowered the rims by a foot to where now they're able to dunk. But
so my friend argued that too.
Right.
Lower the rims a foot, but what would be the difference with that? Like, sure, you lower the rims, but then people are not leaving the floor like that. The part of the
well, yeah, because you don't have that vertical jump. But if you put it to where, let's say if it was 8 feet and damn near all the girls on a basic level would be able to dunk. Well, maybe not so much basic level. If you have a heightened level of athleticism, you'd be able to dunk. If a woman does the between the legs, under the legs dunk, or you dunk on somebody, you get a poster on somebody, although it's not to the same level that the dudes are, people would be more willing to go and buy in.
People want to watch things because they can't do it.
Right.
That's what makes it awesome. So like with women's basketball, you know, because so many people can do what they do, right? They might not be as skilled, but just strictly from an athletic perspective, they lower it to 8 feet. I could throw a fucking East Bay like fucking
but you also have to have the excitement portion. I think that's one of the things that they struggle at, because it's like with basic basketball, if you watch a men's game, you watch a women's game, there's an athleticism gap that's there. If I now were to lower the rim to where your peak level of athleticism can be activated here, it becomes a much more entertaining view for the casual viewer. Now a basketball purist would be like, oh well, you know, this is it's a lower rim.
I disagree in general.
It comes down to the entertainment level. I think that's it for me.
I disagree with that just because, like I said, if it's a low rim, people, they see it and they're kind of like, it's cool because they're doing this stuff, but they're not jumping as high. I could do that. You know, it's like watching, if you watch someone do it, like the cool part about seeing all these guys do it is like, wow, that's amazing. There's an amazement factor.
Right.
With women's sports, it's not really amazing. You know who's box office women's basketball? Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
That girl, she dropped 60 and she hit a 3 from fucking super far away to win the game. Like it's like a 40-footer 3 to win the game.
Yeah, game winner, buzzer beater.
There's men that can't do that.
Right.
So I think that style of play is what brings
because she has the current kind of game to where it can translate. Like even Sabrina Ionescu, she was like the hand-picked, you know, next Kobe for like the women's basketball or whatever. And she plays at that level. Like they was just in the WNBA championship. They lost, but they were there and they have a team that you want to go and watch. But there's a level of, you know, athleticism that's required to be able to get to that level. But the average WNBA player probably couldn't beat the best high school men's basketball player. So I think because that's a gap that exists there, because you know if you're going to watch basketball, if you want to watch the best, you go to a men's game versus going to the women's game, because there's that natural dynamic. No, it is, but because there's that dynamic, I think if you were to go and you lower the rim, and now you have an opportunity to where that entertainment factor can get activated, because I think ultimately the casual viewer just wants to be entertained. The purist of who loves the sport is going to want to know the X's and O's of everything. So because that's the case, I think you're in a situation where you got to figure out which one matters more.
I think the hard part with WNBA, right? There's not like, I don't even watch all the NBA games. Why would I watch any WNBA game?
That's the thing. That's the thing.
It's true though.
That's the thing.
It's like there's 82 fucking NBA games. If I wanted to watch basketball, I just put on a men's game. There's zero reason for me to watch a women's game. I could watch people do it on a higher rim. Let's say they lowered the rim. I could watch people do a higher rim, faster style, jump higher. It's pointless for me to watch a WNBA game. That's the issue that they're in.
Right, but then my thing is, if you were to put that rim A little lower, just a little lower.
But
and
the
now
men would still
these
be-
girls, no, it's not even to compete with the men. It's just to make a better product. Because now, if you got these girls they're windmilling and dunking.
I'm thinking like how to fix it. I don't think it's
right, because
fixable.
it's not
There's
fixable for where it is because you know they're not the best at the craft.
Bikini basketball, that's how you fix it.
No, because it would work only to a certain degree because women they tried it with the LFL with the Lingerie Football League, and although it was incredibly aesthetically pleasing for the douchebag reasons, it still wasn't the same level of viciousness that you got from the NFL. Because if you watched for football purposes, you didn't really care to watch. If you watch for the douchebag reasons, it makes sense. Right? I mean, you could. It would definitely, because the vast majority of people who support women's sports is men, not necessarily women. Yeah. But still,
in general,
you're at a point where if you want to market it the right way, you have to figure out ways to maximize on their level of athleticism. Like with track and field, I think track and field, tennis, and women's soccer to a certain degree has the level of marketability to where people will still pay money and want to go see it. Even with like women's gymnastics is sensational.
Oh, it's crazy, yeah.
Absolutely sensational.
Okay, for example, name a male gymnast.
Couldn't tell you.
But the female ones.
Couldn't tell you.
So I guarantee if we look at the numbers for like can you look that up, David?
Yeah.
Look up the highest paid gymnasts in the world. If it's men, I think there's something wrong with that. I think there's something wrong with that because they don't bring no eyeballs, they don't bring no money. I'm almost assuming the highest paid gymnasts are women.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Those are the most popular ones.
Right. Look, one of the top 5
if it's
women
a man,
on
it's
NIL
sexist.
deals.
It's sexist if a man is the highest paid gymnast.
Because I think any time that you've seen gymnasts, it's like, dude. Yeah,
Livy
from
Dunn.
LSU.
Boom,
She's top 5 right now
There
in
it is.
NIL deals in college.
What else we got?
Next two are Susanna Lee and Simone Biles.
So
Makes
point
sense.
proven.
Wait, hold on. Dune makes more than Simone Biles right now? Good God.
I mean,
She's
she got
in
the social
college.
media. She got the social media.
Right, that makes sense.
Simone Biles is 8th highest paid female athlete.
Right,
Bruh.
makes sense. Makes sense.
So that's my point. You're gonna look up gymnasts.
Yep.
It's all women.
Yep.
You know why? Because no one wants to see a dude flip when a girl could do 4 more flips in the sky.
Exactly.
So it's not like
All depends on their level of athleticism.
Exactly. So you can't argue about the pay. It's not the pay. It's the talent or the capability.
It's what you said. People watch sports to be impressed.
And you want to be something that you can't do. Like and that's one of the things with like women.
UFC women are so impressive still because it's still fucking impressive.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is what's fucked up. Did you hear about this? We're gonna just kind of like transition out of this. This is funny because the topic I'm about to bring up.
Yeah.
Did you hear that males are now allowed to compete against female boxers?
That seems to be the case. Yep.
No, it's a real thing. They just passed a law or a rule that trans men can compete against women.
It's about to get real ugly. I'll tell you that right now.
And boxing only.
Well.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. They've already had some different
That's fucking
organizations where they have that going on.
I think if you're a man turned woman, you can compete against women. Bro, that's gonna be so fucking. A woman's gonna die. I genuinely think.
Oh, somebody's gonna die.
I genuinely think what's gonna happen. A man's gonna hit a woman so hard, she's gonna die, and then they're gonna have to change the rule. I genuinely think that's what's gonna happen, because that's literally that's insane. How are they even allowing that? That there's no one sees any issue with that.
You can only be progressive for to a fault, but then it gets to a
it's
point where
wild that,
somebody's
there's
gonna
no
have to
outrage
die.
about it. I saw it. I was like, what?
Yeah, because I think it's because even with like what happened with the swimmer, right, where you were 100, I think it was like 200 ranked swimmer. You then, all right, cool, I'm going to transition.
Swimmer, so
now you're number 1,
Bro.
right? And you're like, okay, all right. I think with a physical sport like boxing, where you have that blood sport kind of situation, it's only a matter of time before you got to roll the casket out, because somebody will, because I seen some, and I did a couple of videos on like they had trans in a MMA kind of style fight and just wipe the floor with the girl to where she's like on the ground,
Yeah,
the blood coming. It looks crazy. It's only a matter of time.
Olympic boxing though, too.
Oh really? Oh boy. Wow.
I don't know if it's. We have to look at. I don't know what it is. If it's US, it's like Team USA or something.
It's gotta be a national thing.
Yeah, it's like but it's like, bro, at that level, like, if it's just like some amateur thing, like it's not. It's bad. Trust me, it's bad. But like, once you get really good, and you're a guy, hitting a girl, bro.
Yeah, it's about to be
someone's
bad.
gonna die.
Yeah, somebody going to, and if it's on the Olympic level, when they have that podium with like the 3, it's about to be two toilet seats and a urinal is going to be standing in the middle at all times. Where there's no way you can't win.
Yeah, it's fucked, bro.
You can't win.
So scary.
Somebody's going to get their ass whipped. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
Anyways, I don't like this topic. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It sucks that I don't know how this is allowed, but staying on the fight topics though, do you see Sean Strickland? He's fighting in 2 weeks. Probably by the time this comes out, he's fighting already. Dude's interesting because I think in the past couple months he's blown up more and more. I'm not sure how much you know about him, but
He just became champion, right?
he beat Israel Adesanya in one of the
Right.
most massive upsets of all MMA history. It's like one of the most massive ones because Adesanya is a champion. This wasn't really a hyped up fight. They just assumed Adesanya was going to walk through him because Strickland wasn't like all that. And Strickland, he had an interesting style. Adesanya had an off day, and 5 rounds just dominated Israel Adesanya. So he became the champion. But he has an interesting story. So he came from an abusive childhood. He was his father used to beat him and his mother. So that's kind of like part of his character development.
Right.
And like as he gets older, more famous, you start to see it unfold. And they were at a press conference, and the dude's a shit. He's like a kind of like redneck, white trash. Like he just likes to talk shit.
Right.
He's one of those guys, you know. So he's talking shit to this guy. I guess the other guy, his coach, kissed him. So he's like calling him a fag on like TV. Like he doesn't
Good
care
Lord.
at all. He's one of those
Yeah.
guys, no filter.
Yeah.
So the other guy kind of stoops there too. He's like, because he was saying, oh, like your coach fucks you. Like he was
Right.
but then the other guy says, oh, you think your dad beat the shit out of you? Imagine what I would do. Your dad doesn't have shit on me.
And this is when they had the altercation in the wow.
Well, no. So so he said that at the press conference.
Right.
And he goes, it's gonna bring back all the memories of like your childhood when you're in bed and your dad walks in the room and beats the shit out of you. Like I'm gonna do that to you.
Right.
And you see Strickland, he's visibly shook, right? The next week they sit him down at a UFC fight, and they're sitting for some reason. I don't know why they put them next to each other, and they just fucking start fighting.
Yeah. I remember I saw the clip where they were maybe 2 rows apart.
Yeah.
And then Strickland had turned around and he saw the dude was talking. So he like asked the kids to move out of the way and then leaped over the row. I remember seeing that clip. I didn't know that was the other the fighter. That's interesting. And isn't it interesting that most, greatness, like you talk about world champions across all sports, they always have a very traumatic childhood.
Right. Well, so I think Sean Strickland's a great example of someone that channels that, because those people that like that get beat up by their father, get abused, they get the shit kicked out of them by their father, they become like angry individuals. Like he could have easily been like a rapist,
Right?
fucking like
he could have been
serial killer.
Yep.
But instead, he channeled all of that anger and pain into like violence, which is UFC. And he says it all the time too. Like there was a podcast he did with Theo Von. And it's wild because like it's crazy to see this tough, like just like MMA masculine guy. So he broke down into tears on this podcast. And I guess the thing was like, like when I was a kid, I would go to school, but I'd be tired because I would be up till like 3 or 4 a.m. and my dad would be yelling, saying he's gonna kill my mom, saying he's gonna kill me. And he would go to school the next day and fall asleep on his desk, and the teachers would like be like, you're such a bad kid. Not knowing that he was getting like abused until 4 a.m. So he just starts breaking down into tears on this podcast. It's super awkward. I'll show you after this, but like it's one of those most awkward situations, and you could tell like the pain is real.
Right.
That
Dennis
pain is
Rodman
real.
had a moment like that on the Breakfast Club a few years back when they were talking about like he was talking about his upbringing and everything, and then I think Charlemagne had asked him about his father, and he was like, I've moved past it or whatever, and he's like sniffling and starts crying and everything. It's like, no, you still have this trauma, but it took that trauma to create the madness in your mind to go and channel it and become one of the greatest, athletes that's out there. And I think, and it's funny, I saw this trending on socials where they were like, nobody who's in the GOAT conversation of any sport came up with like just the most happy-go-lucky. Like you needed some form of adversity. Like Brady had a great, his parents were cool with it, but he
the
was
adversity
cut
came from the league,
from the league. Like you're just
They
on the
doubted
bench.
him.
You're riding the pine. You have to go through something to get somewhere.
Right.
And I think with Strickland, with him having all of that like unhealed trauma, but still finding a way to bottle that up and put it towards something else that's positive. Because I remember Deontay Wilder, like recently, he's completely changed. Where in the beginning it was just ruthless type of dude. He was like, this is a sport where you can legally kill somebody, so why not use the right to do so, right? And then he laid out Basile. He done laid out Stavern, and then he was just beating everybody. Then ran into Fury, but the flip side now that he has a family and everything, because I remember he was breaking down crying after another boxer, like he was damn near like paralyzed per se, and he was losing his mind because he was there like, yo, this man, he's got a family, he's got a wife, and look at him now.
I think what happened is this. He ran to Fury, like he was on a high.
And he got humbled.
He ran to Fury, he got humbled, but not only that, he made a big fucking bag from those Fury fights. So the same thing, like it's hard to go run at 5 a.m. when you're waking up in silk sheets. You got this big bag. You know you're not invincible because the guy slept you twice, right? He just lost the fight recently.
Yeah, recently he lost the fight.
And he started talking like, I've been smart with my investments. I'm smart. The second the dude's like, I've been smart with my money.
You're on the way out. You're on the way out. You're on the way out. Yeah.
He lost that dog in him because it's like the dog has been tamed. He's been domesticated by money, by wealth, by fame. He don't need a fight to feed his daughter anymore. Before it was like he was fighting to feed his daughter. But now it's like, fuck, man, my daughter has everything she needs. So that fire kind of goes away.
Yeah, but then back with Strickland. So you said he was on this podcast with Theo Vaughn. He's crying and everything.
He just break. It was super awkward because like you could tell he's trying to hold it back. He's like, fuck, man, and like his water's flying. He's like put his water ball down and starts flying everywhere. And Theo Vaughn's funny, so he goes like. He says some rhymes like, where animals pee and it could attract other animals. Like he said something weird like that.
Yeah.
And literally, sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah, Theo Vaughn's hilarious, dude.
And Strickland just like, he's like, and like he just can't like keep up with it. And then he just starts crying for like 6 minutes straight, bro.
Wow.
It's wild. He starts talking about like trauma and like he's like doing this. It's crazy. To see that guy, who's supposed to be like a tough guy, kicks the shit out of everyone, crying, it shows you that like, damn, he's carrying some heavy shit.
Yeah, like Mike Tyson, he had that on his podcast too, when he talks about a bunch of stuff. And I remember when he talked about his daughter who had passed away because she was on the I believe on the treadmill, and then she had passed away. And this dude's like this vicious, individual. He could talk about like what it took in the upbringing to get to where it's at, and you see him like squirm into like this damn pea. You're like a bean at that point, and still you carry all of that while going into fights and all this other stuff. It's wild.
I think healing, in a weird way, fucks up your greatness in a way. And I could say that from experience.
To take that edge off of you.
I used to be a dog. I used to be a real good money maker. And then I took 2 years where I just didn't make as much money as I could have because of this. Like I got a therapist. I started healing. I started like looking at life differently. You lose that like if Sean Strickland were to heal, it'd be like, cool, let me fight, but it's no longer like let me fucking kill someone.
Right.
He's like, but because he has all this anger, he's gonna it makes him good.
Right.
Makes him great.
Right.
So it's gonna be interesting to see because a healed Sean Strickland, I don't know if he stays champ for long, but if the dude continues with that trauma, dude's gonna be a dog.
I think that also ties into like a different topic to where it's like, yo, when would you say is the appropriate point in life to heal? Because let's just say if you're somebody who's at the bottom, you've got all this trauma and you want to be somebody per se. Now, granted, you don't want to be traumatic mess to where you're projecting into everything in life. I think you have to be able to challenge it, bottle it, and put it into, or channel it, bottle it, and put it into the right sort of things. Like if you use that trauma in business to where now it's like, all right, I'm gonna be a dog. I gotta go and I gotta accomplish. You put it into athletics. All right, cool. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna be a dog. I'm gonna make sure I can, achieve. I think it works. But then if you now reach the peak of, wherever it is, depending on what the peak may be, or you get to a point where you've got those silk pajamas, you've paid off, mortgages, you've made sure your children don't have to worry about anything, you've got your spouse in whatever the hell it is that she or he wants, to live in, or the kind of life that they want to do. You've got your parents set up, your friends are in better position, you're in a very happy place. You can't still carry that trauma anymore, because it's only a matter of time before it spins and becomes bad for you. So you almost have to, do you have to accomplish X amount in order to go and say it's okay to heal?
I think everyone has a different number.
Right.
Everyone has a different number of where it's time to heal.
Yeah.
I think you look at certain people that never really heal. So, great example, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I don't think he's fully healed. Dude has a gambling problem.
Right.
He's addicted to winning. That's not a healed man. A healed person's kind of like, you know what? Winning isn't everything. I'm a billionaire. I want to like enjoy my life with my family. I think that's your phone.
Yeah, the phone's ringing. But
yeah, it's like, I want to enjoy my life with my family. A non-healed man is like, nah, fuck that. I'm still going.
Right.
So it's hard to like look at it that way. It's like, what's your number? What's your number? What's your goal? Your goal is 100 grand, and like you heal. Like some people, they heal. They're like, you know what? I've made 200 grand a year. I can provide for my family. I don't need to go hard anymore. I'm happy with this.
Right.
So it's that level of contentment, the level of happiness that you have. I don't know if there's a right time to heal. I think it depends on what your goal is.
Yeah, 100%. I think and that's one of the reasons why it's important to now identify what your goal is. And then at that point now you just work towards it. And still, you could always be a dog and go after some, but then it's very difficult to keep that same level of consistency and hunger.
Those people that are fucked up are usually the most successful ones.
Right.
So you look at anyone, right? And I love all of these people. You look at anyone great, they all have some sort of like fucked up thing.
Right, they got something that was completely fucked up on the road.
You know, even Kobe, he had the rape allegation.
Yeah.
But Kobe dark, he's twisted like that. Like he's a fucking serial killer. Kobe, I watched the Patrick Bet-David interview. It's the only time I saw Kobe live, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
But he talks about how before games, on loop, he would listen to the Halloween theme song, Michael Myers' Halloween, for 3 hours on loop. That dun, dun, dun,
Get in the zone, yeah.
And he would just listen for 3 hours. Like, bro, that's borderline like psychopath. What is that? He used to watch sharks attack at different
and
angles.
hunt. Yeah.
So he could guard AI.
Right.
It's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Like there's something wrong with you. If you're that type of person, there's something wrong with you. Now, is there anything? Is it a bad thing? No, but there is something wrong with you.
Yeah, you need something, like there's an obsessive portion, like with Peyton Manning, Ray Lewis, Tom Brady, like they would obsess over what it is that their craft is.
Well, Tom Brady lost his marriage because he was so obsessed
because he just could not step away, which is, it makes me wonder if let's just say Giselle either stuck out for another year or Tom Brady didn't come back for the last year, would they have made it? Makes me wonder, because he just came back for that final season, divorce happened. Had he not played that final season, would they have still, been together? But I think with everybody, and it's funny that you bring up with Michael Jordan and he has like the gambling addiction and everything, because he reached the mountaintop and then his dad got murdered after like the first three-peat. Makes me wonder if his dad had never died and he walked away from the game, does he ever come back? Does anything, because that's a brand new trauma that happens when you're already at the mountaintop. So it's just a number of different things. It makes me wonder. And with Sean Strickland and everything, I'm gonna make sure that I watch that video over there, because I'll definitely
show you right after this.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's one of the things that really I find interest in when studying those who are at the peak of what is that they got going on. Because even in women's sports, it's the same thing, where the GOAT of whatever thing they're in, they all have some sort of trauma, some sort of dragon that they're chasing in order to have them at the top. And I think a lot of times, a lot of our viewers, a lot of consumers on social media, or just anybody, they always wonder what it takes to like get to the next level. You need to have something that you're chasing.
Sick and Twisted makes you like sick and twisted in a good way. Like I'm humorous about like, I always use this example, but like I'm humorous about like my father leaving.
Right.
Because it's a trauma that sticks with me. And now I laugh about it, but it's like a laugh through the pain type thing. Because it's like, maybe I'm still hurt, maybe I haven't healed, but it's a good thing because it's fucking making me accomplish.
Right.
It's making me chase, So that type of thing is like, you can't replicate that through anything else. There's no other way to replicate that. And I think now I got a big surge again because I'm having a daughter.
Yeah.
So it's like, fuck, that's pressure also, and that pushes you. But it has to be something like that pushes you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what this year will bring for you, because new wife, new daughter, new penthouse, new challenges, because it's a completely different dynamic than what it was years prior. Because before it was like, all right, cool, you do this for you do this for your family. But you've got your family in a position where they're good, they're set up, there's nothing else to go work for. Now you got a wife. Well, to a certain extent, it's still the same kind of deliverable. It's just a little extended. Now you got a kid. Oh, you locked in for 18.
The kid is different, because it's like the kid is like, I want to give the kid more.
Right. And not only more, they can't have the same kind of upbringing that you had.
Yeah.
So it's a double dynamic, because the financial can only take care of so much. And then now with the emotional part, it's a brand new challenge, because you've never been in a situation where you have to unconditionally love something, all while having to try to keep that same, dynamic going. So because of the new challenge, it forces you to have to go and elevate.
100%.
So it's gonna be interesting. This entire year is going to be a hell of a thing with podcasting.
What time are we at, David? Sorry, I have a call right now.
Yeah, I think we are at 55. I think we could wrap up.
55? All right.
Yeah. Could definitely wrap up here. But
I'll cut this, so if you want to do like a clean, going back into it.
No, we're good. We can just, I like this like personable stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I like the personable stuff. So let's do that. I appreciate you, dude. Sorry, guys. I have to cut this short. I have to handle some business right now, you know? Bills got to get paid. Lights got to stay on.
100%.
But you want to take us out?
No, absolutely. This has been yet another episode of the Assiduous podcast. I believe episode 27 of the official Assiduous podcast. I am the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the chiseled Adonis. He is a serial entrepreneur, the Filipino Prince Tycoon, Rene Lacotte, and we are Assiduous.
Ooh.